Thanks so much, Tanvi, for relenting and making sure that, you take out time on a Friday evening for our Beyond My MBA Horizon series. Really excited to hosting you because I've been hearing so many things about you from your ex-faculty members and otherwise also people who have been praising you generously rather. So I'm sure. And even during my interactions with you, I think you came across as a very warm, ebullient person who was extremely excited to share and transfer the knowledge. And as Anil sir over here rightly says, thought leadership is something which is really important, and I think you are literally epitomizing that by transferring your share of knowledge. To quickly preface this discussion, there's just like a quick profile intro of Tanvi. Tanvi has worked as a human resource management and is currently still working as a human resource management consultant with KPMG. She's been associated with KPMG in India for over 1 year, 2 months. She's also worked with brands like Grofers, Yes Bank, and she was a 2017-18 postgraduate program in human resources alum from the School of Inspired Leadership, SOIL. Welcome back again to SOIL, Tanvi. And like we said that, you are one of the most beloved alums that we are having because of this warm nature, warm demeanor that you're constantly exuding. Really excited to hosting you today. And over to you. I'll let you spearhead the conversation, even though I know that at the beginning, Tanvi was asking that, okay, who is it? Or how is it going to be facilitated? But we want it as candid as possible. We want you and your inputs to be coming over here. So please help us, probably give your introduction. We'd love to hear what, your own introduction about yourself is going to be like. So over to you.
Thanks so much for having me, Nirja, and thanks for such beautiful words. Soil is a very inherent part of what I am today, honestly. And when it comes to soil, it's just like a matter of blood and sweat for me. So I can never say no to soil ever, I think. And it's good to know that, even after what it's been 4 years that I've left, um, uh, almost 5 years that I've left the college, but I still reside in the memories of my professors and the other people at SOIL. I try to be as inclusive as I can in my nature. I think some of it is inbuilt and some of it is, I think, fed in by SOIL, I must say. But then, really happy to be back, really happy to be having this conversation with you. And a little bit about myself, although you have covered most of it. Uh, yes, I am with KPMG Global Services currently for the past 1 year and a few months or so. This was a switch in which I moved from a corporate HR to a consultant field. Corporate HR has its own beauty, and I'll be always thankful to Grofers, formerly known as Grofers, now known as Blinkit, for my first break. And the place taught me a lot. Um, and then, yes, everything comes with an experience. So I think my previous experience is definitely helping me now. And really happy to be with KPMG Global Services now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm in Gurgaon. Uh, I was a bachelor when I joined Soil. And if it's a bonus to anybody, so Soil gave me, I think, everything in life, mainly. So it gave me a degree, it gave me my first job, and it also gave me my husband. So I found my husband also at Soil. And I think that just adds to the extra bonus value add on that Soil has ever put in my life. And I'll always remember it and cherish it.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So one commonality that remains with the alum, not that, we want to market it or brand it as a, as your next place to find your life partner. But of course, during your masters, you are having that intellectual compatibility. I have this question for you. You've beautifully introduced yourself. And one thing that I have also experienced, even my colleague Aishwarya, when we were interacting interacting with you, that your people skills are really something that, you're warm, you're always having that humility in all your connections. And here I'd like to quote, Rajni Masoom, who's also worked closely with you. And she says that, you're a people's person. And one thing that while I was just like, reading her review on your LinkedIn account was a very important thing. And my next question is related to that. It's
Mm-hmm.
often said that, for this generation, it's not just their IQ or EQ also, not your intelligence, not your emotional intelligence, but AQ, which is your adversity quotient, the ability to bounce back, the ability to make sure that are you able to stretch or be dynamic as and when the work requires. And all the people who worked very closely with you say that, you come across as somebody who molds yourself as per the need of the hour. So tell us a little bit more about the changing workspace, how important it is for people to have that adversity quotient up, like, with setbacks just bouncing back each work day, how important it is, especially in the context of HR. What are the changes that you see? So a couple of questions coming in, that the changing landscape of HR, what all changes have you seen, because you've been in this space close to 3+ years with Grofers, and now 1 year with KPMG Global Services. So what kind of changes have you experienced in the space, and what kind of a person is now required to just make sure that, you are being very successful in this space?
Sure. First of all, really good questions. So I always say, since the time I've had the basic knowledge of human resources as a student, and then when I first joined my job, I always say that if you are a human resource person, never leave your human quotient behind. That's always been my thing. We are taught so much about AI, we are taught so much about automation, we are taught so much about the new jargon in the industry is chat GPT, right? So, the globe is talking about it. But at the end of the day, you should never forget that none of the AIs are coming for your jobs. Trust me, if you just mention this statement on Google, you'll read so much about the fact that, the AI will never be able to take our jobs because they are not humans. And human resources, it's us being human is what adds as the cherry on the cake. Rest, anything can be done by anybody, but that emotional quotient, that humanity is something that can only be offered by a human. So that's the first thing. And till the time you carry that modesty, till the time you carry that warmth, till the time you carry that inclusivity in your nature, you'll do wonders wherever you go. So I always say that, karma is everything in life. So I believe in radiating positivity. I'm not a sadhu, but I try to be as positive as I can. I try to be as nice as I can, and I try to be as honest as I can. And I feel that the universe will give the same thing back to me. I do some things beyond my uh, comfort level, but they are done with complete genuinity, and they are done with complete, sense of care. Talking about adversity and my ability to bounce back, I think I've always had that somewhere, but I've had my major falls, I've had my major setbacks, and it was after a very major setback that I reached soil. Um, when it comes to self-realization about the persistence and the bounce back ability in me, I think I got it when I joined Soil. I realized it when I joined Soil. And it was because of a very small thing that I was sharing a room with. We were 40 odd kids in my batch in HR, and the rest 39 of them, most of them came with a certain experience in the industry, or maybe in a different industry, and very few of us, handful of us, were like freshers. And when there used to be discussions in the class, I used to feel, dude, I don't know anything. I really don't know, and these people come with so much of an experience, and they have so much to share. But then I thought that I am here because I don't know these things, right? So um, I think making that experience, converting it into my learning is something that I can do. And it's a tough road when you start doing that, and when you have to beat yourself every day, when you have to compete with yourself every day, that yes, I am going to feel a little notched down, not notched up in the class. But then that feeling of feeling notched down is something that's going to add to my benefit, because I will become a good listener. I will absorb whatever people are throwing in that classroom, right? So that's how you bounce back. That's how you become more persistent in life. And more perseverance comes in your nature. So I think an amalgamation of all these things has built me to whatever I am today. And I hope to become a much better person tomorrow and the day after.
That's so interesting and so well put, I must say that. And it's always very reassuring, when a person like you is being very candid about your experience. And I wanted to dig in a little more because there was a
Sure.
bit that you said that, you read soil, and that was actually correlated with my next question. Also, I
Mhm.
see attendees, please feel free to put your questions that you have for Tanvi in the Q&A section. We will be taking your questions in the next couple of minutes before, we just try and make sure that we have a comprehensive understanding of Tanvi and her perspective. So my next question to you was that, you did your BTech, you did your MTech in biotechnology, and that must have been very rigorous
Yeah.
altogether. So what was that moment where you thought that, perhaps right now you probably don't want to venture into academia, or you don't want to do anything related to biotechnology only, because most often than not, with the next transition would have been either joining academics or probably a biotechnology firm. What led you to think about the softer aspect of people management or human resources? And now that you have experience both as a consultant as well as, the corporate HR experiences, so what was that moment of epiphany, or what triggered you? What was it that triggered you? And here, because you mentioned about it, I would like to, if you're comfortable, tell us a little bit about the challenge also that you had when you joined soil, if you'd
Sure.
like to share it with us, because I'm sure all of us, at some point in time, we always bounce back, or we at least start our journey to again recover from our so-called battles or injuries that life has given us altogether. So it'd be very exciting to know, or very inspiring rather, I think is the correct word, to know about your overall experience. So first of all, how come from BTech, MTech to human resources, and also, what were the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, the war stories. So,
Right.
answering your first question, Neerja, the thing is that it's a funny story actually. I honestly never had this eureka moment that, oh my God, yeah, I want to do human resources. It was the people around me who realized that I have a knack for it, and I have a personality that would do justice to the field, right? Or maybe the field would do justice to me. So I still remember doing my bachelor's in biotechnology and then going on for my master's. There's something which I only talk, when I am in conversations with people, that I also tried my luck with PhD. Um, and then I think in that moment, after being, in the research field for so long, somehow I had this feeling that I'm not somebody who wants to sit behind in a research lab, behind those test tubes and those petri dishes, doing experiments and God knows, reading research papers. I am not this person. I am somebody who likes to be out and about in whatever I do, but I don't know how to utilize this quality. So I still remember this friend of mine. I'm still friends with him, and I still thank him whenever I talk to him. That I think he was the first one who pitched me this idea that you should try human resources as a field. And I remember that when I took this decision after a lot of apprehension, that I've been into academics for so long and I don't want to spend more time, more years into studying again. That's when I had this conversation with my parents and my brother, and they said, yeah, we also think you should really give it a shot. What's the harm? Just at least try 1 year, right? So it's like, no, I can't study one more year. I can't study one more year. But then they said that nothing good will come out of you not studying something new, right? If you want to start your basic, you will have to give time, right? So I still remember asking my brother to drive me down to soil. I spoke to Arja ma'am, I spoke to Neetika ma'am, and I had all these questions. What if the recruiters come tomorrow and they tell me that, you don't have an experience and we don't have a job for you? So where am I going to go then? So they said that. If you have the knowledge, then you having an experience or you being a fresher will really not make a difference. It's you who has to decide whether do you want to get into this field, and does it excite you? And my knowledge of HR was very limited. According to me, HR was only somebody who hired, who did recruitment, as most of us think, right? As soon as we go out in the community or in the society, we tell them that we are from human resources. They're like, oh, acha, recruitment karte ho. So, but then people are getting enlightened about the fact that it's not only about recruitment. So I came from that background. Um, so that's how the entire switchover happened, and I took my leap of faith. And here I am today. So I don't, you know, uh, I'm not sad about any decision. I think it's the best decision of my life that I took at that point of time. Talking about the second half of your question, that is talking about the war wounds and the battles that we fight every day after joining Soil. So, I would specifically like to answer this question from a fresher's point of view because I was a fresher. And as I had mentioned earlier, that I shared the room with people who came with experience from different industries. Um, so it can be scary. And honestly, when we used to prepare for our exams and we used to be scared and we used to be anxious, and our parents told us that a little bit dar is good, right? A little bit anxiety is good. That will help you perform better. So, never ever let that little bit of curiosity, little bit of anxiety, little bit of that insecurity and scaredness that you have go, because that is something that will help you push yourself more and more every day. um, Talking about what you practically face in terms of dealing with this entire 1 year, although you become a champ by the time you have already had like 3 months in that setup. And so my suggestions will be only for those initial, as we call it, hand holding, onboarding of the new person coming on board. So be a good listener. Try not to kind of put yourself in a cocoon, and it's a human tendency to find people with common interests, and we get very tempted to sit with them in the classes, outside, in the cafeteria while eating food. But think from an angle that it limits your interaction and it also limits your knowledge. So um I had a think, and you can maybe take it as, uh, uh, as a quick hack. What I used to do was that, yes, I had friends. I used to talk to everybody, but yes, I did have my friends in that 1 year. But I had very strict rule for myself that whenever I went down to the cafeteria to eat food, I had promised this to myself on the first day, and I did it till the last day. I would take my food, turn, just scan the entire cafeteria, and wherever I saw the first seat empty, I would go and sit there. So that way, I think I sat with a new person all the 365 days. There might be some repetitions, but yes, it's safe to say at least 360 different people. Sorry, 360, whatever. I mean, I had a different companion for every day, right? And breaking a conversation with them helps you build your own character. It builds in confidence in you. You get to know that person better in and out. You get to know about their apprehensions, their knowledge, their experience, even if they are a fresher, what kind of turmoils are they going through? And it helps so much that I can't express. So that was one hack that I had. But apart from that, don't be scared if you are, don't be worried and scared if you think that there is an assignment which is being given to you and you can't do it. You think that you don't know anything about it. As Arjun ma'am says that, it's very easy to pick up your phone or open your laptop and start searching everything on Google. But it's much more difficult to dig that Google Baba inside your head and try and pick things out. Try and, extract your version of the story or whatever you want to put on the paper. It could be bad, it could be good, it could be ugly, it could be anything, but at least it's yours, right? So that ad, you remember, which used to come, Teda hai par mera hai, right? So it's absolutely that feeling. That's one thing that I completely agreed with Arja ma'am throughout the year, that it's very easy to leverage the technology that we have, but we never realize the kind of technology and the intellect we have inside. So, yes, interact with people, try and build perspectives. The more you converse with people, the more you communicate with people, try and have those intellectual conversations. Don't just try to, push your thought on someone else's thought process, because uh, it's this is a field in which nothing is right and nothing is wrong when you're talking on an intellectual level, right? So respect other people's thought process, but ensure that your voice is also heard. So that's how the journey will be. And after a point of time, you guys will become really, really masters of your own hacks and chams, and you would know how to deal with the day-to-day pressures that come.
Absolutely. I think you've eloquently put it across, and that's such an important advice. If you just unpack and unravel most of the things, and it's very interesting. Like being a good listener, I think this is staple. This links back to where we started, where you said that the human
Yeah,
quotient cannot replace any Chat GPT or an AI tool altogether, and just being open to learning. And what was really interesting, I love this point, and I think this should be one of the biggest takeaways from the conversation with you, that 90% of your job is really easier if you know how to deal with people, and that
yeah,
networking activity that you would do, I think that's, and again, it's linking back to the introduction that we had, that you're very keen to transfer knowledge, and that's what a thought leader like say Raj Shamani or a Ranveer Alabade would say, that just make sure that you try and make that attempt to reach out to one person. And here in college, you're getting like a open house. Sometimes we don't even know our batchmates properly. Imagine that's a
yeah.
wealth that we are leaving unexplored, and that's so important. So clearly, I think one thing that you are changing in your story, Tanvi, which is so interesting, the narrative that a fresher can definitely bag a good opportunity, like you did
Yeah.
your Yes Bank internship, or your Grow First journey altogether, which was impeccable because of your hard work. I think that is if you have that knowledge, like you said, that RJ ma'am had spoken to you about, and also the fact that I think you really try to push needle every single day ahead, right? You wanted to
Yeah.
increase your knowledge curve. That's so interesting in terms of networking, in terms of understanding the psyche. And that is one of the reasons why on the Manesar campus where I am right now, we also have an integrated liberal arts curriculum, because just making sure that the psyche of people that you're working with, or the products that you're designing, that's equally important. We've literally digged in a lot about your life before soil, and you gave us a very interesting perspective, and absolute kudos to you for being a fighter there. And I'm glad that you didn't really give in because at one more year of studies, I'm glad you made it, because
Yeah,
I'm sure, that gave orientation. The next part of it is more to do with your life currently, because this is the Tanvi, when we talk about the cycle of life, this is who you are right now. So tell us a little bit more about your day. A lot of students are very curious to know, okay, fine, we've studied, now what? What is in store for us? How does a normal day look like? How does it shape up? So tell us a little bit more about this journey so far. Perhaps if you could just start with your KPMG experience, what do you do on a regular basis? What
sure.
really takes in a lot of your energy? What are you gravitated towards? Like, which projects or what skill sets are required to complete and accomplish those projects? If you could throw some light on that, please.
Sure. So I'm not at the liberty of really candidly talking about the clients that I work for and the nitty-gritties of it, but I'm sure I can, in our terminology, we call it sanitization. So I'm sure I can sanitize a bit and share a bit of it with you guys. Um, so I am with this arm of KPMG that's called KPMG Global Services. It's not KPMG India, it's not KPMG US, UK, or anything. It's a central team which works out of its own entity called KPMG Global Services. So this team, what it does is that we are a very big set of people, and we have our own HR team, we have our own audit team, we have our own legal team, our own PMO team, and we fall into this team called advisory, which does the management consulting for the various clientele around the world, right? So our team, the consultants that we are in the advisory team, we are catering to 6 to 7 geographies around the world, and I happen to be catering to the UK geography. So I work with KPMG UK folks, they are my colleagues, and I cater to the clients sitting in UK. So only UK based clients. And so that's who my stakeholders are. And I'm sure you would know that with consulting, your colleagues change with every project. So I worked with, I think, I don't know what, 10, 15 different people in this 1 year, and made some really good, acquaintances, made really good friends across the sea. And it'll be really, it was really nice to know that, people really value you beyond work as well, and they value your time. Um, so that's how the stakeholders are. When it comes to the kind of work that I do, it's about, as I mentioned, people consulting. So we consult people around you know, uh, their HR processes, or if they're going under any kind of HR transformation. It could be around organization design, it could be around workforce transformation, or it could be around simply a business continuity methodology. So these are the main work streams that we have under, the consulting, core consulting piece. And my initial two projects have been around business continuity methodology, but the current project that I'm doing is a human resource transformation. So it's a powered project. By powered, you mean that there's an involvement of technology. So if the organization is going under a technology implementation, which is going to enhance their processes, in fact, is something that goes underpowered. And KPMG assists them, KGS assists them at various stages of it. So we deliver what we are contracted to. So my current client is undergoing Oracle Fusion implementation on a global level for their HR and finance verticals. And KPMG has been helping them around change impact analysis, around the persona building, or the training need analysis. I'm building the training curriculum. I'm also designing the training content. So it sounds a lot, and looks like a lot on plate, but the project has been spread across 1 year, and you have people to assist you. My journey at KPMG has been really exciting, I would say. I've always had some of the other takeaways from wherever I have worked in these 5 years, past 5 years. But I think KGS gave me that platform where I could be me also. So, I mean, this place, as I mentioned earlier, values your time beyond work, and they value your personal life. There's a great work-life balance because I am somebody who puts my family in front of anything. I mean, they come first and everything comes secondary. So I am that person. It might be a little old school, but I like to stick that way. So I wanted to be in a space which gave me the liberty to spend that time with my family. So I start my day, do my things, and as you know, that UK is currently 4.5 hours behind us. So we work in a loop. Like I like to work in a loop. So the hours that I am up, I try to, kind of accomplish the work that has been discussed in the last evening. By the time the UK folks are up, and then I give them the entire handover and whatever things we have to do where our discussion is required, those things are done in the overlapping hours. And then I give them the download of the entire day and tell them, see, here I am. You guys need to pick it up from here. And I'm I go off to sleep, spend time with my family, and in those hours they try to accomplish which is required out of them. So that's how in the loop we work. But it's interesting to be a consultant. I think it's one of the aspired roles in every field. I think everybody wants to consult an organization. And initially, I was a little scared because I thought there are going to be so many jargons. I'm not that great with jargons. I'm sure the faculties at Soil will definitely do a +1 on this. I'm not that great with jargon, but I'm good with practical knowledge, right? So that's exactly what I was scared of, that in consulting you use a lot of jargons, but then the support of your team members, the support that an organization gives you, the support that you get from people on shore, and the step by step, when you start producing work and every day you feel that, oh my God, really, I was capable of this as well. I didn't know. It's just about digging yourself deeper every day and see what more can you bring to the table. No pressures. Do it happily. If something doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. That's my simple funda in life, right? But then sometimes you really have to push in a positive way, and try and dig deeper every day in your inner self and see what better can you do. Take every feedback as a constructive feedback, right? I can get offensive, like my husband says, oh my God, you can't take a feedback, you get very offensive and things like that. But he also admits to the fact that I might just say it in that momentum, but then we all have that feedback in our subconscious. So just try and think in yourself, how did that feedback come? Why did that feedback come? And what can I do to improvise on it? So that's how I am now. And that's how my day looks like. And that's what I am doing at KPMG.
That's so elaborate. I think you can probably start taking a session itself, and we'd be inviting you very, very soon for that as well.
Oh
The
God,
way
no,
you
no,
delineated
no.
all your OD projects and the interesting part, I think that was really gripping. I'm sure, like, people would have been inspired to get towards that life. Of course, the way you dissected and you delineated your roles, even though there were certain privacy clauses, but I think you really explained us pretty well, despite, like, you didn't divulge any confidential details, but I think we got a ballpark idea as to what really keeps you occupied, and it's very interesting. But you've come over here with 3.5 years of very a commendable stint at Grofers, where you saw promotion as well. You joined in as an assistant manager, you became a deputy manager, and you were there for a solid tenure. If you look at it,
Yeah.
I think it's, especially for this generation, being so stable is something, because every day there's a constantly tempting, there are these tempting roles that are coming in, and people are not able to exude that sort of stability, but you've done that. Tell us a little bit more about how freshers, particularly, even though you weren't a fresher, you were having your biotechnology solid experience of 5 years. You had that knowledge of 1 year where you were having the correct approach and attitude towards learning, which really paved the way for your success overall, touchwood. And gods were smiling at you for this particular reason, that you were putting in that right effort and hard work in the right direction. But what advice would you give to a fresher who's joining, when they take up a first job? How open should they be? Because 3 years was also 3+ years was also a
Yeah.
tenure for you to show that impact that you created, right? Which very often, sometimes students are missing, or people who join the workplace, they miss. So tell us about how did you stick along? I'm sure it would have been like a tough ride altogether over there as well, but what kind of advice would you give, and how was your journey for 3.5 years with Grofers like, and how did you manage those challenging days where you probably thought okay, now it's it's time to quit? And when was it finally that you decided that you should be you should shift to manpower, and then finally KPMG happened? So tell us a little bit more about that experience and advice to any person who's starting their career.
Sure. So my 3.5 years at Grofers, I would say they were fantastic. They were just fantastic. I mean, uh, all the jokes about or all the the nasty things about a startup, you're working around the clock 24 hours, you're just crazy, things are so ad hoc. Decisions are taken at 1 p.m. and then they are just completely dissolved at 2 p.m. And everything is just lopsided. Everybody's running in a different direction. Yeah, that all is true. That's something that happens in a startup. But just imagine you being that one pillar in that entire ruckus and trying to maintain your sanctity. Imagine how much will that add to your, to your personality and to your learning. So I wouldn't say all the days were a mess. All the days weren't so bad. There were more and more of good days. Yes, it is difficult for a fresher. It is difficult for anybody who's new into a corporate setup because you don't know about, you've never actually seen policies before. You don't know how to start, from where to start, and things will be told to you initially, things will be explained to you initially, you will be given responsibilities in chunks, and every day or maybe every week or every month the responsibilities will keep increasing. You will be naive when you join your first job in the few initial months. For some people it takes longer time, so everybody is different. Take your own time, and you will make mistakes. You will be done left, right, center, but don't feel bad about it because um, you have just come from another world. You've come from another planet. It's just like an alien attack, that you were somewhere and you were just, completely hijacked or abducted and thrown on a different planet. So, which is surrounded by fire all the time, and it's crazy. But then, um, keep that positivity high, keep that optimism high. Things will be difficult, but then I think communication is the key. Talk to people, talk to right set of people. So there are people who are the true supporters. There are people who are just on the surface level everywhere, right? That's life, and that's human tendency. And as we say, we live in a Kali Yuga, right? So so these are the, these are the hard facts of anybody who joins, who goes into a new setup, right? So try and find your people, talk, but talk keeping in mind that that information cannot be used against you, because that's something which happens in corporates. Um, talk, maintain complete clarity with your manager, the people who have dependency on you, or the people whom you have your dependencies on. And then, commit to yourself every day that, I am going to be a better version of myself today than tomorrow, and then the day after, right? So that's how it is. What uh, kept me at Grofers was the learning opportunities. I think that place gave me so much to learn that I can never be thankful enough. I joined as an assistant manager, HR business partner, all thanks to Ankush Arora, um, who was the CHRO at the time at Grofers. And he gave me that opportunity, and he saw that in me. Um, I remember that I was asked to support marketing as my first business unit, and I was their HR business partner. And my first interaction was with the marketing head, and he's from IIMA. So I was interacting with a top B school guy who had worked for the biggest, companies in the country, was super knowledgeable when it came to his field, and was also very much familiar with the true responsibilities of a human resource person. So he supported me a lot. I got support from my own team. And when I started interacting with the other folks in the marketing team, uh, I was pretty candid. And that's what got back to me as as a feedback, that we've never met an HR who talks so candidly, whom we are so comfortable with. And I think that's where, I made that pact with them, that unsaid pact with them, that, yeah, here I am with you, and you can reach out to me with whatever problems you have, and be assured that the anonymity will be, kept, and your problems will be resolved. Then I got an opportunity to do campus recruitment for Grofers, for the tech team, for the category team, marketing, and other verticals. And I remember in my first year with Grofers, I think I went to every top B school in the country. So people saw that in me. People saw that I could speak with the colleges better. I could fight out for the best slot, and I could find like good candidates. Maybe they saw that I came as a fresher, and they thought that maybe, yeah, I can get better freshers to the college. So that, and then, yes, the responsibilities kept coming. I did employee engagement on a pan-India level for all the regions of Grofers, and some policies, some new processes in line, and things like that. And yeah, that's how the 3.5 years went. And it was a great experience. I think it was great experience. I think as much as I've seen in those 3.5 years, I rarely think that anyone would see. I mean, it'll be great if they see more, but I find myself really thankful that I got that experience.
That's great. And I personally am loving how you are sprinkling the entire conversation with religious metaphors constantly. It means that you've identified your values, or what is so dear. Like you said, family comes as a priority, non-negotiable, and you've
Yeah.
given so much of importance to your work. So I think that's stellar commitment towards work. I have this question because you've got there's also this commonly asked question about what beautifully even the leadership like Anil Sir, Sahil over here talk about. Do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? And you got an
Mm-hmm.
experience of both, like you said at Grofers, people trusted you that you could speak with even the best top B schools. You were driving the campus engagement and recruitment processes. So that was literally like a hustle culture, startup culture altogether. And when we are talking about current experience with KPMG Global Services, I'm sure it's much more like a big corporate setup where processes are set in place, and still you're having challenges each day. So my question to you is, how do we identify which one are we meant for, or is there some specific journey that one can probably, or is it an individual choice based on what kind of personality you are? You can actually select that. And an attached question linked to that is, where is Tanvi headed now? Where do we see, a very commonly asked question, but still true? I'm very curious to know. You've beautifully, spectacularly shaped your career so far as an HR professional. So where are you headed now? What is it that you're up to in the next coming years? So two questions, like, how do we identify whether it is a startup hustle culture for us as an HR professional, or is it like a big corporate setup? And how can we even get there? Of course, I know one such thing is like, you networked really well with your CHRO, or, you had a good portfolio on the table in both the profiles. So which one should one pick? And if we are picking, what is the process to get there? And where do we see Tanvi in the upcoming years?
Sure. So, hustle culture or corporate, you can't judge it till the time you've experienced it. Once you experience it, you would know what do you like more. I've seen people who have made switches from a corporate setup to a startup setup because they like that adrenaline rush, and they've done it at a very good positions in their life when they've held like good positions in corporates. We had such many examples at Grofers because after a point of time they felt that they wanted to be a bit more active. They wanted to utilize their knowledge better. Um, in a setup where you could see where the turnaround times were lesser and you could see the result in front of your eyes. But as somebody who has started their culture and has seen, or maybe they're about to start their culture and they've not seen either of them, my suggestion to them would be take up an opportunity whenever, wherever you get in both these spaces to make up your mind where do you feel more comforted? Where do you feel that, yes, this is my place? Like I felt more inclined with the startup culture back then because I was not married, I was single, I had like all my hours dedicated to my organization, and I felt that these are my years where I can prove my mettle or I can, polish myself into somebody who's more knowledgeable about the industry and knows her thing. And I wanted to get my hands dirty and have the ground knowledge of everything. So I think that's what happened. And then I came to a corporate, which was a paradigm shift. But there are hustles everywhere. There are hustles everywhere. It might be a big hustle, it might be a small hustle, it might be a hustle, or it might be just a hustle. But hustles are always there. So experience both and then make up your mind. Where am I headed? As you mentioned that I was with Grofers for 3.5 years, and in a time where people switch jobs very quickly, stability is a big question mark for the industries across the world. But I'm, as a person, designed to be a very stable one. Like I still remember in my caliper report, my risk-taking ability was very low, and my thoroughness factor was very high. So I am somebody who believes in staying in a place for a longer period of time. Um, Let that place utilize me, and me also getting ample opportunity to utilize that place and add that value add on to my portfolio. So I think even if you talk to me next year and hopefully next to next year, I think I'll still be at KPMG Global Services, um, trying to work with more and more people in the UK geography, more and more clientele, the kind of problems that they come up with. I think the beauty of consulting is that you're not confined to one kind of a job, right? So every problem statement is a new thing which you have to work on and think about, right? So I think I'll still be here and trying to spread my charm. But no, jokes apart. I mean, yeah, I think this is the place where I want to be in. I'm very comfortable and equally, intrigued at the same time to try something new every day and try to add on something new to my portfolio every day. So I want to come out of this place where I am valued so much, not in terms of monetary gain. I'm that complete Three Idiots guy, uh, that you should be the person, you should be intelligent enough, or you should be intellectual enough, or you should have the knowledge of your field, and the money will come after you. For me, money, it has always been a secondary thing. Yes, it's always a bonus when you get good monetary gains, but then I want to polish myself into somebody who's so valued in the industry that people literally would fight over me, that yes, yes, she's the one. That's who I want to become in my field. I don't think that I ever aim to be a CHRO, but I want to be the master of my field. That's what I want to be. And I feel that that can be done even at the most junior most level, or that can be done even at the most senior position that you can see in a department.
That's very interesting. I think I had a delight interacting with you, and I think I can probably go on and on listening to you. And we are already booking your calendar, like you said, like, when we'll be interviewing you next year, the year later, you will be with KPMG. I'm sure you will, and you'll keep on shining very bright. Any last closing line that you'd like to probably tell our current live audience, as well as this is going to be put on YouTube for posterity as well. So any last minute statements to wrap up the conversation? And like I said, I'm doing it with a very heavy heart, because I can just go on listening to whatever you're saying, because that comes with a lot of thought, a lot of learning that you're displaying, a lot of self-learning. So I think I thoroughly enjoyed and picked up so many things, and I'm sure so would our viewers have done that. So any last minute concluding thoughts before we part virtual ways, and hopefully meet up very soon, at the offline front. So any last minute
Sure.
thoughts?
Sure. First of all, Nidra, it's been a delight talking to you as well. And I'm really glad that I could be here and share my mind out with people. And a few last comments for the other folks out there. For the people who are freshers, I would I would genuinely ask them to believe in themselves and in their, at the same time, be also in their undertone, so that they can be more absorbing people, and be good observers, try to learn as much as you can. The inevitable is inevitable, right? What will come tomorrow. But try and learn as much as you can today, at least in the beginning years of your career or of your journey. After that, everything becomes like clockwork, right? You become smart enough to understand yourself and your environment. So, but the most important thing is believe in yourself, but also be the most modest version of yourself in front of people. For the people who are uh, maybe at soil or SOBD with experience, and they are aiming for something more after this 1 year or 2 years of course. at Soil or SOBD, uh, try to keep it realistic. I've seen people, getting swayed for the unachievable achievements, which bogs them down, and they tend to lose their connect from reality. So keep your realities in check, see what's the best for you, but also see that what is being offered to you, what value add on can it make, and obviously try and help your fresher people, fresher folks. So I think a lot of onus lies on their shoulders as well. As much as we want to be out there, getting learning from their experiences, but it is equally important for them to share their experiences with everybody out there, good, bad, and ugly, and be honest about it. So yeah. And yes, as I always say, karma is everything. What goes around comes around. So be good to people so that you can get those good deeds in return as well. Even if you don't, at least you won't feel bad about yourself that you didn't treat somebody well, right? People forget. It's an old saying that people will forget what they ate. People will forget what you did. People will forget everything, but nobody would forget how you made them feel. So always treat people how would you like to be treated by somebody.
Absolutely. I
So
think
yeah,
you
that's pretty much it.
right. Like I said, I think I'm finding it a delight. I can just go on and on talking to you, but I know that you're a family first person, so I'm sure it's
Yes.
also closing to the weekend. And thank you so much again. It really means a lot. And I think even if you look at it from the utilitarian perspective, if you do good, you are actually creating that entire network of people. And like Tanvi had said it at the beginning, just interacting with a new fellow, just making sure that you expand your networking cycle and your overall ecosystem of people whom you know, it's always going to help you out. Thank you so much. Genuinely, it was a delight interacting with you today, and definitely, like we said, we'll be circling back to you offline as well as inviting you again for a couple of other online initiatives. Thank you so much for your time, Tanvi, and thanks all the participants for joining us. It was great
Thank you
hosting
so
all
much,
of you.
Nidra.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
Nidra. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much, Aishwarya, for putting this together for us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ashwarya. Thank you so much.